Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And I got one very sad story and controversial. Here again, we have a white male police officer who has allegedly shot a black innocent female in her own home. He shot her in the face and killed her over a dispute over a pot of hot water. Where are we going? We've got too many of these situations where police officers, especially white male police officers and black citizens, are getting into these altercations, and many times it's leading to the black citizen getting murdered, and then there's all kinds of controversy with the white male police officer. So here's another one, which is making national news, straight out of Illinois. So, Sonya Massey shot after dispute over pot of hot water. White male deputy discouraged partner from rendering aid, records say. A fatal law enforcement shooting in Illinois that prompted outrage from protesters and officials following a dispute over a pot of steaming water in the victim's home, court and law enforcement records say. Now, this woman is in her own home. Sangamon County Deputy Sean Grayson, who was indicted on charges of first-degree murder and other crimes in the July 6th killing of Sonya Massey, 36, is accused of shooting Massey in the face after he and another deputy were dispatched to her home shortly after 1 a.m. after she reported a possible prowler, according to the documents. Officer Grayson did not render aid after the shooting and discouraged his partner from doing so, according to a petition from prosecutors seeking to deny a pretrial release for Officer Grayson. Grayson pleaded not guilty in his arraignment Thursday, according to his lawyer, Dan Fultz, who would not comment further on the charges. Prosecutors argued that Officer Grayson was a threat to the community and should remain in custody without bail. A judge granted that request on Thursday. According to an Illinois State Police summary of the shooting, deputies found a car at Massey's home that appeared to have been broken into. After they knocked on her door, the deputies found her distraught and not thinking clearly and entered her home, the summary says. The exchange over the pot came after Officer Grayson motioned to a container which was on the stove in Massey's kitchen. Remember, they're in Miss Massey's home. According to the summary, Massey turned off the burner, picked up the pot, carried it to the sink, and turned on the faucet, the summary says. Officer Grayson was roughly 10 feet from Miss Massey, who asked the deputies what they were doing. "Get away from your hot, steaming water," Grayson said. Officer Grayson responded, according to the summary. Miss Massey said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." Massey said this twice in the summary. Officer Grayson responded, "I swear to God, I will shoot you right in your effing face," according to the summary. When Grayson drew his service weapon and ordered her to drop the pot, she let it go and then crouched below a line of cabinets, the summary says. According to the petition, Massey put her hands in the air and apologized before she ducked. Officer Grayson approached Massey with his gun still drawn. According to the summary, she quickly stood up and grabbed the pot again. Officer Grayson continued to tell her to drop the pot as he approached, and she threw steaming hot water on a chair next to the cabinets where she had been ducking behind from before, when he first told her to put the pot down. When Miss Massey threw the water, Grayson fired 3 shots, striking her once in the face, according to the documents. She threw the hot water at a chair, not at him. After the shooting, when the second deputy in the home said he planned to retrieve a medical kit, Officer Grayson told him not to because of the severity of the injuries, according to the petition. The other deputy still rendered aid and stayed with Miss Massey until medical help arrived. It says Grayson did not try to aid Officer Grayson, who shot Miss Massey in the face. He did not try to offer aid to Miss Massey at all. A use of force review included in the state police documents found that while Officer Grayson did not attempt to de-escalate the encounter, he was justified in pointing his service weapon at Miss Massey to get her to comply. But the review found the shooting was not justified because Officer Grayson advanced towards Miss Massey and put himself in a position where he could have been injured. Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell said in a statement Wednesday that Officer Grayson had been fired because it was clear he did not act as trained or in accordance with our standards. Officer Grayson is due back in court August the 26th of this year. After the announcement of Grayson's indictment Wednesday, Attorney Ben Crump, the Massey's family lawyer, described the charges as a step toward justice for Sonya's loved ones, especially her children, who have endured unimaginable pain and suffering since they were notified of this tragedy and losing their mother. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker said in a statement Wednesday that Miss Massey had been concerned for her safety and that she called law enforcement for protection. Instead, innocent and unarmed, she was gunned down by an officer of the law, he said, adding, "I am enraged that another black woman had her life taken from her at the hands of a police officer." Wow, that is a very powerful statement from a politician, and many politicians try to make statements that are right down the middle. Of course, governors, mayors are high proponents of protecting police and our judicial system, but evidently Governor Pritzker felt that the level of egregiousness and aggressiveness which led to Miss Massey's death in her own home over a pot of hot water, gets shot in the face in her own kitchen, when she called the police for them to look to see if there was a prowler in their neighborhood, instead of the police protecting the neighbors and her, the police come in and decide to shoot Miss Massey in the face and kill her in her own kitchen. Even Governor Pritzker could not mince words and put a middle of a road statement together where he was not showing a particular prejudice towards either the victim or the police. He did say clearly that he thought that what Officer Grayson has allegedly done to Miss Massey by shooting her in the face and killing her, he said that is beyond comprehension, and Officer Grayson definitely crossed the line from protecting our citizens and protecting law enforcement to engaging in a possible criminal activity, and is now being charged with first-degree murder. This case will set some precedents if this police officer is definitely convicted of first-degree murder in this particular scenario. We did have a historical scenario with George Floyd in Minnesota, where those officers got indicted, convicted, and sent to prison for that videotape of the one police officer putting his knee on George Floyd's neck, and George kept repeating that he could not breathe. If it wasn't for the video surveillance by standbyers that got out to the public, to show what actually went on during that arrest, there probably would have been a different circumstance and result in that George Floyd versus the officers in the state of Minnesota case. So video surveillance, technology, DNA analysis, and scientific research has its advantages, definitely when it comes to either gaining the right and appropriate conviction or getting innocent people out of convictions that should not have been placed on them. But we have another scenario where a white male police officer has shot a black woman, 36 years old, in her own home and in her kitchen, shot her in the face, shot at her 3 times, hit her in the face once, and killed her, and then told his comrade not to assist and help Miss Massey while she's laying on the kitchen floor dying, to help her with any kind of first aid. And of course, the gentleman that shot her, Officer Grayson, he didn't assist in garnering Miss Massey any first aid. What a heartless individual. And this is not the kind of individual that we want on our police forces. I try to say that we need our policing. We need public safety to be at the highest level of protection that we can have it. But some of these bad apples, and we're having repeated stories of white male police officers committing and crossing the line into criminality when it comes to black citizens. This kind of nonsensical inhumanity needs to stop. White police officers or police officers should be policing and protecting everyone, and not making a rush to judgment based on what somebody looks like versus their character and the content of who they are. This is becoming a repetitive, redundant scenario and story each time. But as we continue to have these cases where race plays in this, police, superior, inferior, police versus our citizens of the United States, I am going to continue to raise a level of consciousness so we can make this place a better world. And by the way, where is Black Lives Matter during this case? Where is the $90 million that they spent, and now you don't hear anything from them? Thankfully, Attorney Ben Crump is in on the case to bring some light, shed some light to this. And thankfully, the Sangamon County folks decided to indict this deputy police officer, Sean Grayson, for shooting Miss Sonya Massey, 36 years old, in the face, in her home, in her kitchen, over a pot of hot water. What a sad story. Where is the humanity in all of us today? We're losing it one day at a time. Tell me what you think of this case, straight out of Illinois. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-fearing way.